Welcome to Chaotic Riff Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriff.com. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and we're speaking with lead singer Shane Tassart from the band Hot Summers. How you doing today, Shane?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great now. A lot of people are going to know you from the band Lies, Deceit, and Treachery, and you guys created quite a little internet buzz there for a while now. The band's no longer together, but you got, and people can check out the music if they want, go online and that, but are there any plans to release any of that?
No, not at this time. I mean, Mick and I have, the whole thing started with the Hot Summers. I mean, I joined Mick and Jimmy, I think it was 2013.
Okay.
And that kind of fell apart for a little bit. There were some issues, and then it came back together, and it kind of morphed into what became Lies, Deceit, Treachery once Lonnie came on board.
Oh, okay.
It was basically Bullet Boys with a new singer.
Yeah, yeah.
But Mark and Lonnie, I guess, both owned the name, but
I see.
We couldn't really use Bullet Boys.
Yeah.
So we were Bullet Boys without being called Bullet Boys.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm glad I'm talking to you about this today, because I thought like Lies and Lies, Deceit, and Treachery came first, and then this is what you're doing now. So that's kind of interesting. You're getting back to what it originally was.
No, when I when it all went down with LDT and stuff, I really threw myself into Journey tribute band that I was in at the time, and
okay.
So I kind of backed off, and then Mick and I reconnected, and since then,
So okay, so so as far as the Hot Summers go, it's you and Mick. Is it you and Mick primarily? Do you got other members of the band? Or are you looking for other members?
It's just he and I right now.
Okay.
I mean, he's played a lot of the tracks on it. As far as we've used like Jimmy Deanda has played, some of the drum tracks.
Oh,
they were previous when we started this.
Yeah.
But we have a friend named Brandon that played with Save Ferris, which was like a no doubt band of Orange County.
Yeah, yeah.
That had a couple hits. He's a great guy. He actually did a few tracks, and we one of our ballads, we had Tony Franklin, the Fretless Monster.
Yeah, we all know Tony. Yeah, Blue Murder, but Firm.
He plays on one of our tracks, and so far it's awesome.
And are you guys working towards a CD, like a full length?
Yes, full length. Right now we've got 9 songs basically in the can that are mixed and ready to be mastered, and then we're actually finishing up the last 2. And we were thinking we would be done a lot sooner, but this Bullet Boys reunion with Mick throwing himself into that too and playing shows, it's taken away from his producing. Yeah. He's producing this thing.
Well, good things come to those who wait, and I tell you, just based on, as you've seen, I posted your guys' video for the song, The Last One to Cry, and I gotta tell you, listening to that for the first time, just kind of with fresh ears, to me it sounds like great 80s type rock, and I love the video because it kind of shows what it is, you and Mick, kind of a dynamic duo, I guess you could say. You guys seem to have a perfect chemistry, perfect fit. I love the way that the camera goes back and forth between the two of you guys, and the thing of it is, Shane, I mean, it's interesting that you're talking about being in a Journey tribute, because not just your look, but in the video, but the sound, it kind of is Journey-ish. I don't know if that's just your influence coming out, but it's I think if you're a fan of like 80s rock or 80s metal, you're gonna dig this. And I gotta tell people, the single that we posted, The Last One to Cry, doesn't really sound too metalish, but I'm just saying it sounds like a lot of music came out from that time, and it's like, man, I can't wait to hear the rest of the album.
No, there's heavier songs.
That's
ballads. There's everything on it, and we've been working on it for a long time. We used a producer in Nashville when we first mixed this about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of these same songs that since then we've re-recorded, but it just didn't have Mick's like a composer.
Yeah.
So to speak. He he has little intricate little parts. Even the old Bullet Boys stuff, if you listen to it, there's little pieces in there that no other guitar player, they either don't hear it sonically or they can't figure it out.
Yeah, he's a very
one of those. He likes to put those little pieces in, and by him being able to produce this, I think that the wait it's definitely going to be worth the wait for everybody.
I mean, he's one of those guys, besides being a great guitar player, I mean, really gifted songwriter, like you're saying, composer, producer, and I don't think a lot of people realize just how important that is. I mean, people forget Mick's not just from the Bullet Boys, but he's played with King Cobra, and I even heard a solo album he put out a number of years ago, and it's got some great stuff on there, and it's not just like guitar-oriented stuff like you probably suspect, but it's just great songwriting.
No, and that's where he comes from. He comes from a pop world, and that's where I come from. And it's funny how
two worlds collide.
How much we actually feed off of each other.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And he's a great friend, and I'm really looking forward to putting this out. And he is too. We're like two little giddy kids that are just like so excited that we've got something new and fresh, and you know, and it's fun. He gets to go out with the Bullet Boys and play Rockstar on the weekend, but then during the week, you know, we've got this pet project that he's been working on and that he's so proud of. So it's
and
really
I think
cool.
You know, like you said, when the time is right, it'll naturally come out when it's meant to, and that way you guys can kind of have more and more time to kind of hone your craft and like really develop the songs. But like even just based on the single that I posted today, I mean, you can hear the potential that's in this band, you know.
Yeah, it's I love that song. It's great. It's one of those deals, though. I have a couple friends in radio, and they both said, there you go, Shane. As usual, just shoot yourself in the foot, because I say the F word in it. And it's like, you know, why, you know, looking back, I'm like, well, maybe we should do a radio edit. But,
I mean,
things like this, it's my rebellion. It can be pop, it can be whatever, but I'm still kind of a rebel that
there you go.
Tends to screw myself over, basically.
you know, another idea, that is a good idea, like putting out maybe a censored version. I mean, I was doing a show with somebody the other day talking about the 30th anniversary of Slave to the Grind by Skid Row, and I didn't realize that when that album originally came out, there's an album with the song called Get the Fuck Out, and that was a censored version. And so it's kind of like the fans back then had a choice. Okay, do you want the censored version of this, which most of them did, and then if you don't want to hear the little cuss words, then you buy the altered version.
One with Beggar's Day on it.
Yeah. and again, that's a cool thing to see, and that's a cool thing to do. Even you say, okay, well, we'll have two different songs maybe, and then if you want, you know, if you're a fan and you want to hear everything, you'll maybe buy both versions, you know.
Right. That's what we're going to tend to do when it goes to radio and stuff. I mean, most of it's internet, so internet radio can basically play anything, but it's just the fact that my friends on terrestrial radio, the first thing they said was, you just had to throw an F-bomb in there, didn't you?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about that is it's not like a real rock and heavy tune that you'd expect somebody to kind of throw you an F-bomb, but that's what's kind of cool about it, you know, because it kind of comes.
Well, I actually, what's funny is I looked at it from a bigger perspective.
Yeah.
When I was working on those lyrics, I mean, it's basically a guy that's, you know, that's having a bad day. Everything's falling apart, and sometimes you just want to say F it, you know.
Yeah.
And when I was writing it, all I could think of was the original version of the Garth Brooks Friends in Low
there you go.
Friends in Low Places, and how they had that one verse that was censored that he was never supposed to play. You know, they wouldn't let him record it on the album, but when he played live, all the fans knew that part.
Yeah, and you know,
that was where I got that from. Like that would be great for the whole crowd to say, you know, the F word. And,
and again, I love that story for the simple fact. Again, talking to a rock guy, you're like not going to expect that he's going to get that kind of influence from Garth Brooks, you know. But hey, I mean, I heard Garth Brooks talk about how he was influenced by Kiss, so you know, you get inspiration from all kinds of places.
Oh, of course. Music is music, and especially good music, and I appreciate it all. I mean,
yeah,
if it wasn't for 70s yacht rock, I probably wouldn't listen to anything.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I listen to a lot of the 70s and 80s rock, but I tell you, I have just as much appreciation for something like, you know, Tom Petty of Eagles, because, you know, it's great songwriting, you know? You listen to...
of course. Of course. I'm really into, have you heard Nestor?
No, I have to check that out. I've never heard it. Yeah.
Check that. They've released 2 singles so far. If you like 80s, just fun, like throwback pop, it's awesome. But they're kind of like a Steel Panther, but they're not as, you know,
in your face.
Their lyrics aren't as goofy and stuff. They're more, you know, straight ahead. But you should check them out.
Yeah, well, you know, the interesting thing you bring up Steel Panther is, I don't know if you know anything about their story, but like the singer, he used to go by the name of Ralph Sinaz, and he was briefly in L.A. Guns, but before that he was in the Van Halen tribute out here called the Atomic Punks, and he was making more money doing that, so he left L.A. Guns to go back to do that for a while. Now, you know, Steel Panther, I don't really think people can say it's a tribute band in the sense that, you know, they do original music. It's more of a tribute to that era, but man, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it, because it's like a tribute to a certain, you know, rock era, but it's original music, so you gotta love that, you know.
Yeah, anybody that can keep it alive and
fresh, you know. Yeah.
They enjoy what we're doing, you know, and that's the most important thing.
And see, I think that's what people are gonna dig about what you and Mick are doing here, because it's not you guys like trying, like first of all, you're not going in there saying, okay, let's try to do a Bullet Boyish type of album, or let's do a grunge album, like, you know, go totally left field. You're sticking to your roots, and you're doing kind of what comes naturally. And that's when you, like, when you listen to this song, you know, the last one, To Cry, it sounds very authentic, because I could tell when you guys wrote it, like, it really is coming from the heart, you know?
Right. Well, you know, I have like a 6th grade education. I'm not a college guy, and I don't write lyrics like you know, Bruce Springsteen and things. I write just simple lyrics, and hopefully, you know, they come across in any language that they're sang in, or
I got to tell you,
that's kind of where I come from.
I got to tell you, Shane, that's amazing to hear, because I mean, again, just basing on the one song here, and sitting down and having listened to the lyrics and watching the video today, I thought, man, these guys are quite, you know, it sounds like you sit down and really kind of think about your lyrics, and if you don't, well, you sure give that impression, you know. It comes across that way.
No, I've always had when I was in a band that we were kind of signed and on our way back in 2000, called Best of Seven, and we were recording at Cherokee Studios, and the guy wanted to, you know, change my lyrics, and he was trying to say that, you know, they were too simplistic and they needed this, and I was telling him that, you know, you're from the same era as I am. You know, these American metal bands would go to Japan, and Japanese people, the crowds were singing the English. They had no idea what they were saying, but they knew the melody, and that's where I come from. It's the melody. If you can say and string some words together that sound beautiful, it doesn't matter what it says.
It's poetry, you know.
Melody.
People tell you, really, if you sit down and sometimes read some of the lyrics people write, you know, in the songs, a song really is poetry put to music, and you know, you could take one of 2 approaches. You could just sit down and write a simple thing about, you know, making love in the backseat of your car, or you could really kind of write something a little more thought-provoking than that.
Right. And I would go on the simple side. You know, that's just where I come from. I'm just...
And I can tell you, Shane, even a fan, even I'm a fan like of the Bullet Boys, you know, that we've been mentioning, obviously because of Mick's involvement with that band, but if you go back and look at how they kind of tried to launch the Bullet Boys as kind of like the second coming of Van Halen. I mean, that first album, it was monster. It just sold you know, ridiculous numbers. But you kind of like talk to some of the guys in the band, and you can kind of go back and look how they tried to launch that band, like, you know, the next Van Halen. They had great tunes all in their own right and everything, and they're all great musicians. See, that's the thing. But they were trying to pose these guys like as the next Van Halen. There's much more to it than that, and I think that's part of a reason they've gone through all these lineup changes. But the fans really are loyal to that original lineup, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, they were that first record.
Yeah.
I mean, when I met Mick and Jimmy, and I joined them in 2013, 14, whatever it was, when I went there and met them, I brought my first Bullet Boys record, had them sign it. Because I was like, I'm not going to get this gig, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And that first record, I mean, I had such love for. I mean, it's perfect. It's the perfect record. And so when we morphed into LDT and I got to sing those songs every night, I didn't have to learn those songs. I knew them by heart.
Yeah.
I poured, I'm not Mark, and I wasn't trying to be Mark, but I put my soul into them because I felt those songs and I had such a love for them. But as far as the whole Van Halen thing, I mean, I never saw them.
No, what I'm saying is, I've heard people, like, just in reference to talking about the Bullet Boys, where supposedly there were meetings or stuff going along. Okay, well, they had the Van Halen producer Ted Templeman, and Mark looks like David Lee Roth, but I think it was so much more than that, because if they were really just some kind of Van Halen ripoff, I don't think they would have sold as many albums. You know what I mean? So there was really real legitimacy to what they were doing.
And how many? I mean, I've been playing with Mick for years, and hammer-ons are not his thing. That isn't his trick, and he's not a whammy bar guy. He's very soulful. He plays, he plays old school.
See, that's more of a record company kind of guy, like talking. I think
they got it wrong on that. I think that put too much pressure. I mean, especially when the second record came out. I mean, there was, I don't know, that put some added pressure on them that I don't think.
I really think that's because when that second album came out, it wasn't as big as the first one, but I think it had a lot to do with that. Trying to have that pressure on the band that, hey, you guys are the second coming of Van Halen. Where, like, if you listen to that first album, that debut monster album, I mean, you can't deny the songs and the talent and the writing.
No. I agree.
And Mark's
love that album.
And Mark's kept it going all these years, so you got to respect him for that. But I also respect the fact that he's smart enough to kind of finally give the fans what they want and try and get back with other guys. And I think that's why they're doing that.
Well, I think it was a natural progression. When Mick and I were doing the Hot Summers thing, he didn't want to play Bullet Boys. He didn't want to go backwards.
Wow.
And we were trying to book shows, and it was really hard to book the Hot Summers if we weren't going to play some Bullet Boys songs. So we started learning a couple Bullet Boys songs.
Wow.
And he was completely against it, and I kind of kept pushing it because not only was it was easier to get gigs. But it also, I was a huge fan, and I was like, I want to sing these songs too. And so I think that I was the conduit that if LDT wouldn't have happened, I don't know if this full reunion would have happened. So I'm not saying that I'm responsible.
I hear you.
I think I had something to do with it, not on Mark's part, but on the other three. And they're a great band. Those three together, when I was in front of those three guys, when they play together, they're a monster.
And I gotta say, Shane, I respect the fact that, like you say, Mick and Mark, I guess, each own, it's kind of an LA Guns thing, they own 50% of the name or whatever. Now, you guys could have probably tried, maybe would have been a lawsuit from other band, but you could have probably tried to go out there and do it, but I respect the fact that you guys didn't, and you tried to kind of, create your own thing, and I think that has given more legitimacy to what you guys are doing.
But we were trying, and when LDT was doing the thing, I mean, Mark was out there, it was just Mark. And then once Lonnie joined us, it was the three and another singer. So, I mean, who would you go to see?
Oh yeah, and how cool on your part, to kind of encourage that, because you could have done like most people and said, well, it's not really in my best interest to kind of encourage this, but but I think it ends up working in your favor as well, because you still got this Hot Summers thing you're working on with Mick. So anybody that's a Bullet Boys fan is going to go check that out. I would think, and it kind of works for everybody. And even I think as a Bullet Boys fan myself, like if there's a new Bullet Boys out CD with the original lineup, I'm going to buy that, and then I'm going to go check this out too, because it's got Mick Sweda on it.
Well, and plus, it was fun singing in that band and stuff, but I was never going to be that guy. Those songs are Mark's, that was an era that I wasn't a part of, so I couldn't pretend. I wasn't going to be one of those fill-in,
players,
scab singers that go in there and now they start signing the original albums and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I was always the guy if somebody wanted my autograph. I was like, well, I didn't play on this,
Yeah.
I can't sign that. That's not right,
Yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes people don't even realize, different.
No, they don't, and it's really wild. But those songs are Mark's, and that was Bullet Boys. Those four guys created that magic.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I was just glad to be part of it even for a second,
Yeah, I'll tell you a perfect example. Jeff LaBarve, a guitar player from Cinderella, recently passed away just a couple weeks ago, and you hear people posting on about all his great guitar solos on the debut album Night Songs, which he's a great guitar player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but a lot of people don't even realize he didn't join the band until after that first album was recorded. He played from a second album on, but
right.
A lot of people think, oh well, his picture's on the album, so he must have played on it. But you got to sometimes do the work and kind of read the liner notes. But that's just one example. And now you mentioned being a Bullet Boys fan yourself, so I got to ask, what's it like to not only get a chance to play with three of the original Bullet Boys, but to kind of go from being a fan of what they did previously to working with these guys, to getting up on that stage with them and singing some of these songs that really meant something to you?
It was a trip.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Honestly, I was all smiles.
I bet.
I was a kid, and I felt vindicated.
Yeah.
I think because I'd been trying so much, and I'd been through bands and almost signed and doing all this stuff. And just to have the vindication of playing with people that I idolized, and I really looked up to, and I was, kind of an equal, at the stage, and it was amazing. We were all best friends for a long time.
Yeah.
A couple of the guys, I've had a falling out with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when my surgery came up, and that whole drama thing fell apart.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to get into it, but because I know very little about it, but is that kind of when they decided to get Andrew Freeman and have him come in for a while?
Well, he was supposed to just replace me for
a tour.
Here's a long story short.
Yeah.
When the Hot Summers were starting together in 2014, I have a friend from Illinois. His name's Tony Higbee.
Yeah.
He plays with Tom Kiefer Band.
Okay.
And I called him because I said, hey, I have a friend that is really good friends with Larry Moran, that does the Monsters of Rock cruise, and maybe I could get us on there. And Tony helped us get on there. So we were actually booked as the Hot Summers.
Yeah.
In 2014 or 15, we were going to do the cruise. And so I'm the one that got them on the cruise.
Okay.
Through my connections.
Wow.
And so, unfortunately, another hiccup happened.
Yeah.
The Hot Summers, Jimmy didn't want to do Hot Summers anymore.
Wow.
And things kind of fell apart. And then LDT happened.
Okay.
And then that first year, LDT, more drama happened.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do the cruise. It didn't look like, this person didn't want to do it, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So we got back together. We started playing again. We worked out all of our stuff, and we were waiting for an offer from Monsters of Rock, which never happened, as far as I knew. So in the meantime, right about October, I found out that I had a tumor on my saliva gland.
Oh wow!
And they kept saying we're pretty sure that it's benign.
Yeah. But
until we remove it, we don't know. But the longer you take, the more it grows, the more it could actually affect your vocal, everything.
And so did the doctor kind of tell you at that point you got to kind of take a break from singing, or?
No, she actually, she said, we need to get this out as soon as we can. So I said, well, when can we do it? And this became over the test of the MRIs and everything about, I don't know, November, December. She was like, well, we can do it February.
Okay.
And I said, well, okay, cool. So I booked it for February. I knew I was going to have time off of work.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we were never booked for the Monsters of Rock cruise that I knew at all.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't think that this would be any conflict or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So about, I don't know, December. Was it? No, it wasn't December. About the end of November.
Okay.
Jimmy's, I guess, telling me that, hey, we got an offer from Monsters Rock, but it's not in stone yet.
Oh.
I said, well, I can't do it. I got, I have a surgery. I got to get this thing out. And, there was some things said.
Okay, yeah.
And, it just
leave it at that.
got ugly for a while.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, it meant more to them to play the show without me.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I thought we were buds,
Mm-hmm.
And this is very important for me to
Yeah,
get my health in order. And they ended up doing the show. Andrew, I think, was already on board because I think a lot of stuff was done behind my back with a couple of the members.
Okay.
Nick, I don't think, was one of them.
Yeah.
But there was some backstabbing going on.
Well, and it's funny the way it all played out because, I mean, it seemed like all of a sudden Andrew Freeman was a new singer in that band, and then I don't know if he left on his own accord or if they threw him out, but he had some pretty nasty things when he was no longer in the band, so it's kind of interesting the way it all, worked out.
Well, those guys were, I thought that they were my brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that it was all for one and one for all because we did a lot together. I respect and I love them all. I wish that we could bury the hatchet on some of this stuff. But my perspective, I get that the show must go on.
Yeah.
But I wish people would have seen my side.
Yeah.
That I was pretty afraid that I may have cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is right next to my vocal cords. I may not be able to sing. I want this out of my body.
Yeah, yeah.
And my brothers didn't support me.
Yeah, it's a different story when it's
and they took the gig that I'm the reason why they had the gig in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me to say, but they could have even maybe said, well, we understand you're not able to do it. We're going to get this other guy, but we'll still,
well,
give you
that's
something.
kind of what they were saying. To be fair, that's kind of what they were saying. But I was the one saying, well, if you do the show without me, then I'm gone. Because it was already too hard for me to. We were only doing Bullet Boys songs basically, so I was already competing with the original.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm not Mark, and I'll never be as good as Mark was on that first record. So you're in competition with that, and then you have a replacement for you that now, my first gig in, I'm now going to be compared to the original singer and the guy that replaced you for a show or two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to be compared to, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to sing these songs. That's not fair to me. We're either a band or we're not a band. And maybe that was, my fault for being hard-nosed about it.
Yeah, maybe, but I'll say this, Shane, you're not that old a guy, and so when you get news like that, and like you said, the first thing that pops in your head, I'm sure, like, oh man, this could be cancer. I don't want to die, or this is going to really, this could affect my singing. I mean, I dare anybody kind of get news like that, and how are you going to react?
No, and I was probably a little bit.
Yeah. You see that in.
And I was very emotional, and I'm sure that in a different setting I might have handled things differently. Yeah. But at the time, all I could think about was I want this out of my body. Yeah. I want to make sure that I can sing again. And I don't want to be, I'm either the singer of this band or I'm not. Yeah,
yeah. And it's funny, you were talking about when you first auditioned to play with the guys, you kind of having that fanboy, and you asked them, hey, just thinking to yourself, like, just in case I don't get the gig, could I have your guys' autograph? It very much reminded me. I heard Eric Carr from Kiss talking about when he auditioned for Kiss that he made sure to get Paul and Gene's autograph just in case he didn't get the gig. And it's kind of interesting that Eric Carr would die of cancer because he was kind of let go in the same type of way from Kiss. They say they did it because they were concerned about his health, but I don't know if you've ever got a chance to watch that video they did for the song God Gave Rock and Roll to You. That's the last thing he ever did with the band, and you could just tell how the guy, that meant so much to the guy, and he played his heart out. I mean, if that's the last...
He was wearing a full wig and everything.
Yeah.
The guy, he wanted to hold on to that, and I'm the same way. I didn't want to let go to LDT. I thought, I love these guys. And I love what we were doing. And it just, but I'm not one to be walked on.
Yeah, makes sense.
Even if it means it might hinder my career, I will tell somebody to F off before I,
well, you can't let anybody disrespect you. And I think it's funny, the fact that you and Mick got that kind of connection. I mean, like you say, in a time like that, you kind of find out who your true friends are. He's the guy who's really stuck by you through everything, and in a way, it's a great thing because you guys seem to have a great chemistry.
We do. He's a great guy, and I mean, we're not, we've often not seen eye to eye on things.
But you work around that, yeah.
But brothers, a lot of the times don't.
Yeah.
If you have a brother or sister, I mean, you can have fights and you can be knocked down, drag out, but you still love them. At the end of the day, you work stuff out, and you still respect them.
It's funny because oftentimes tension, like when you not hatred, but even tension or friction between somebody, like especially a writing partner in a band. I mean, look at like Tyler and Perry. They got like a love-hate brotherly thing, like you're saying, and it's made for some beautiful.
We don't have that. We have more love than hate.
Well, that's good, but
so it's very good.
but my point is, oftentimes in bands, the guys don't necessarily aren't the best of friends, and sometimes that creates for great music. I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah, it does. I agree. But while we were together, we were the best of friends.
That's what really matters.
I would talk to Jimmy every day. I would talk to Lonnie. I'd talk to Mick. It was more of a true friendship, I think, and I think that's what I miss the most, more than the music and everything. I miss the friendships that we had, and
who knows? Maybe one day
we'll get back to that. But
maybe there'll be a LDT after we do the Bullet Boys. Maybe you guys can reunite or something. You never know.
I doubt that. Well, they can have Andrew for that one. I don't really care to.
I hear you.
I want to do. I'm so happy to with the Hot Summers. This is my voice.
Yeah.
These are my songs, and I couldn't be more proud to. It's an honor singing those old songs, but at the same time, they were never mine, and they never would be.
Now, do you feel the Bullet Boy fans, like, when you guys go out and do live shows, do you feel they were pretty accepting of you? Like I said, you had 3/4 of the original lineup.
Yeah, they were amazing. They loved it, and I always felt, welcome and respected, and there was a lot of love there.
Yeah, I think
a lot of good people.
I think a large part of that is not just the fact that you're such a talented singer in your own right, but that you had respect for, like you're saying. I realize that, a lot of reason people come to see the show we were doing was because of, the other three guys and their history with the Bullet Boys, but you sang those songs, I imagine, from the heart, and like they meant something to you, and you weren't trying to be the next, the second coming of Mark Torian, just kind of sang them the way you sang, and it's interesting that that's kind of what launched you into what you're doing now, but like I said, I think that's what makes Hot Summers that much better, because this is your stamp that you're kind of putting on this music. You're not trying to fill the void left by a previous singer.
No, not at all, and that's why I'm so proud of this. I mean, I can't wait for people to hear it. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
And like I said, Jimmy's played on it, so I mean, there's touches of it's close to LDT at times.
Yeah. So
not the music, but
on that note, like, you guys kind of when you have ready to go and record something, do you just kind of call whoever's available? Is it one of those type of gigs, or like when you get a final album out and start thinking about live shows, do you want to get like a permanent band together? Because I could see you guys going out as a duo and even doing acoustic stuff, or just the two of you and kind of getting a backing band wherever you are.
Well, we've thought about doing that. We actually were booked to do a couple of those at a time, but they wanted us to do Bullet Boys songs. And right now, with the original band going, we don't want to. We don't want to cause any waves and stuff. But I mean, eventually we want to get. Once this record is done and we can concentrate, we have rehearsed with some people, and whether those are the people that we want to actually, form a band with. I don't know, but
yeah, because that's a fun.
So far,
that's kind of a fun thing to just think about, like what's the approach going to be? Because I know like you and Mick are kind of a core of this thing, and I think maybe it should stay that way. Because even watching the video today, I thought, you know, these guys could kind of be like the hard rock like dynamic duo. I mean, there aren't that many like great duos out. I mean, probably the last one I can kind of think of is Wham, and that was more of a pop band, you know. But so right there, you guys got something kind of different to offer to hard rock fans, and you know, I think another thing you could maybe do is, like, you don't want to be known for singing other people's songs, but every once in a while maybe you could instead of doing a Bullet Boys song, maybe get up there and do an Aerosmith tune or a Grand Funk tune or whatever kind of gets you off, you know, just to kind of give them a. I'd imagine too, the other problem you had with the other band is even though you had great original material, like I'd imagine they put up, you know, in the ads, like promoting the shows, like featuring members of the Bullet Boys or, you know, ex-Bullet Boy members, and you kind of want to get away from that.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got, you know, featuring 3 Bullet Boys members and, you know, some guy that worked at the car wash, you know, it's like, who the hell am I? You know, nobody.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and
it was awesome.
As far as releasing a full length, like you said, you got some of the songs feature, for example, Jimmy and other guys come in and play on these tracks with you and Mick. But do you think once you do a full length, you're going to go and re-record any of those, or you just kind of leave it as is?
No, this is going to be the record.
Wow, and that's great. Yeah.
We've got, like I said, we have 2 more songs that are being put together right now, and hopefully we planned on August this coming out, but you know, it's not going to happen. Things, you know, with COVID and all this, you know, the world and all this stuff happening all at once. You know, it's been rough. So I think it's going to be a little further into the year. By the end of the year, I would think that it'd be done completely. But we just don't want to release like an EP or something right now.
I'm with you.
We want a full length.
I'm with you.
We want a full length record, and we want it pressed on vinyl. Yeah. Just like old school, and we're doing this all ourselves.
Yeah,
This is all DIY. There's no money. All the money that's being spent is ours. The time and the energy that Mick's spending on producing this stuff and engineering.
Yeah.
You know, I record vocals at my house.
Wow.
And, you know, we trade files. We do, you know, as much as we can like that. But, you know, if we had a label behind us, it'd be different. But right now, we're doing it all on our own, so we're kind of DIY, and you know, which is cool, but at the same time it does hinder, you know,
what you can
getting
do,
things done and deadlines and things like that.
Yeah, the beautiful thing I think about it though is you don't have anybody to label ton, you know. I don't hear that Radiohead, go write me something more commercial. You can kind of do it your own way, and the beauty of that is if it's a success, all the money goes back to you guys as opposed to some label that somebody else owns.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I mean, I think that Mick is in agreement also, as there's no money in music anyway right now. So the best we could do is put out something that, you know, I just want people to hear this because I'm proud of it, and I want people to go, oh wow, that's good, and put it in their shuffle, and, you know, and listen to it, and, you know, and hopefully we get out there and play some shows, because live it's going to be very interesting, because, you know,
I mean, you already got.
I come from more of a hard rock edge, and even though we're playing some of this stuff that's on the lighter side, it's not going to come off lighter. You know?
Yeah, and I'm interested too, because out here in LA, it's really the big unknown. I mean, for a few weeks we got freedom back as far as not having to wear a mask. Now they're telling everybody to mask up if you're vaccinated or not. And the other thing I'm hearing is, for people just to go check out a rock show, you better have proof that you're vaccinated, or you know, and you're gonna have to mask up. And I hear things about the bands might have to mask up, but I don't know what that would be like for you guys up on stage. You know, having to wear a mask and getting all sweaty and all that.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about all this stuff. I mean, it's funny, you know. I keep hearing science.
Yeah.
But it's not science. You know, the science that I've researched, it doesn't correspond with what I'm hearing on a lot of this stuff, and that's what's kind of scary.
And not to get too political, but that's what I was going to say. That science almost is not science; it's become whatever the politicians decide the science is. And you, like you said, you better not dare ask, or you're a bad person.
or you're automatically a Trump supporter, or you're a racist or whatever, and it has nothing to do with anything like that. It's just even my pastor at church, told us, because I believe in God, and I'm not ashamed of that. And we were told in one of the services, it's okay to question God. It's okay to question the Bible. So why isn't it okay to question politicians right now? I don't understand how I can't say anything if I disagree. I'm a bad guy. It's like, no, I'm just asking a question. That's all.
Yeah, it's crazy, but we'll leave it at that. But I will say, Shane, you guys are in a position, you and Mick, where you could go out there and be like a kind of a legacy band and just go out there and do what you've done before, or play nothing but cover Bullet Boys material. But I dig the fact that you guys are such creative guys. You're still kind of creating great original music, because you do have those bands, as you say, that'll just, okay, we're just going to put out a 3 or 4 song EP, and even if it's a great 3 or 4 song EP, the complaint I always have is, because I'm a kid from the 70s and 80s, so I want a full-length CD. I miss going to, a lot of people listening to this won't know what a record store is, but you used to be able to go to this music store, and it's called Tower Records, and they had the Warehouse and Music Plus and all these places where you could go and actually still buy CDs and vinyl and cassettes back in the day. That's something I really miss.
No, I do too. I miss so much. I miss DVDs. I miss going to the video store. I miss.
Yeah, that used to be an experience.
So glad that I we got to experience that. These kids today will never know the joy of renting a video or going to the music store and picking up a full-length record, an album, looking at the cover and and asking the guy behind the desk, hey, do you have one of these open so you could spin it? I'd like to hear it. That'll never happen again. And we lived that. So to me, we lived in the greatest times ever, the 70s and 80s.
And kids
I
these
wouldn't
days,
trade it for anything.
Kids these days are kind of spoon-fed everything. Like, I'm not going to buy the album. I'm just going to buy the single. It's 99 cents. And but I remember it used to be an experience. You go and you listen to the whole entire album, from start to finish.
Yeah, it was a movement, and that's kind of what Mick and I. We come from that same era. He's a little older than I am, but we're both over a half a century old. We're not kids. But we're throwbacks from the 70s and the 80s, and that's
what it
where
is.
Our blood is, and that's what we want. The music. We want people, when they listen to it, we want them to have that good feeling. We're not trying to bum people out. We're not trying to Nirvana anybody or nothing against Nirvana, but we want more positivity. We want, even our sad songs don't sound sad. There's a positivity to everything.
It's funny you say. It's funny you say that, because I loved some of those grunge bands, but I'll tell you, it really got to a point like with everything, where it became cookie cutter stuff, where they were signing nothing but grunge bands if it had even a slightest thing of grunge. But my main complaint was, when they started turning their backs, and dropping all the great rock bands, from the labels, big labels and stuff, and even the fans were turning their back on the great rock bands from back in the day. I remember listening to some of this grunge stuff and thinking, I'm not really getting into this because it's so dark and deep, and I kind of like to listen to upbeat music, like you were kind of saying. That's kind of more what you guys are about, and you want to write happy kind of good time music. That's what gets me off.
The best analogy I ever heard was I have a friend from Illinois. He lives out here now. His name's Mike J. Nichols. He was the editor of the Zappa movie that came out earlier this year.
Okay.
He's also, right now he's working on John Waite documentary called The Hard Way.
Oh, wow.
And he told me one time, he was like, this was not too long ago, and he said, so I was driving to Vegas, and I was listening to a 90s channel that was playing mostly Nirvana and Soundgarden and stuff.
Wow.
And he was driving to Vegas, and he said, it seemed like it was just taking so long. And then he turned on, the hair metal channel.
Yeah.
And he was singing and smiling.
Exactly.
He was there in like no time. He didn't even realize that 4 hours had gone by, because he was happy. He was singing along with these songs. There was joy. Where the other music, it's good, but you're not having a good time. You're not laughing and smiling and singing and I'll never forget him saying that to me, because it was like it rang so true. It was like, you know, that stuff from the 80s,
yeah,
you know, made us smile.
And I think the real irony is you look at guys like Kurt Cobain and you know, Chris Cornell, and you look at the way they went out. I mean,
yeah,
that has something to do with it.
It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you know, maybe they needed a little more poison in their life. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost ironic that they went out the way they did, and they're these huge iconic guys, but they weren't here that long, and still look at the impact they had, you know.
No, and talented people too. It's sad when things like that happen.
And I gotta say, Shane, talking about your video, very professional looking video. I could have seen, like, if MTV was still around, that maybe that getting played on there. Talk a little bit about the video, and you know, when was it shot, and again, it looks very professional to me.
Well, it's like I said, everything's been DIY.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Mick's wife is actually she's a photographer, videographer.
Oh, wow.
And she had we originally shot a video with a friend of mine because we needed something out there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was kind of pushing. So we shot a video with a friend of mine, but it wasn't really going to make sense.
Yeah,
you know, the concept and stuff. But I was just trying to throw things
out there.
The wall.
Yeah.
And but his wife, you know, that like took over, and she was like, I got a great idea, and she found a place, a loft, and
wow.
You know, we rented the place for the day, and it was beautiful, and she did, you know, the video, and she did the editing, and she did an amazing job, and it just goes to show that, I mean, that's how close this whole family is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like we're all intertwined, and you know, and it I don't know, it turned out great, but it was an afternoon, and it was in downtown Hollywood, and
not too much thought went in it, but you can, like, it almost feels
not for me. I was just told to sing here and sit there. I mean, she did all the thinking, and she had it. I think she had it all played out in her head.
Wow.
Where I was just, okay, just tell me where to sit, tell me what to do, and I'll do whatever. But it had to be simple. We didn't have a budget, and we only had a limited amount of time, and I think she put together something beautiful, and I'm very proud of it, and I know she is too. And
see, sometimes the best things are just, as they say, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, you know, keep it in-house, and like say, don't have to spend a lot of money, but it looks like you did, you know.
Well, the next one's even going to be better. The next one is for a song called Batshit Crazy, which is more of a throwback to the 80s, kind of a Def Leppard kind of feel.
Any plans on when exactly that'll be coming out, like real soon?
We're still working on the video right now, and we're probably not going to release the video until the album comes out. Yeah. But the video is mostly live, but there's some scenes intertwined.
Okay.
It's going to be really cool, and we have a little surprise that's like
in there. Okay.
Of somebody that's going to be in it.
Oh, wow.
A friend of ours, so it's going to be pretty cool.
And so let me ask you now. You said the band dates back to 2014. Now, all the stuff that's going to be on the album, like, are you you pretty much got the album written, or are you constantly writing, or what's the process like as far as that?
Well, back in 2000, I don't know if it was 13, 14, one of the two.
Yeah.
We had like 12 songs done then.
Oh, wow.
And then when the LDT thing happened, we kind of laid off.
Okay.
And then we got back to it after, you know, I left LDT or got fired or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
And once we got back, like last one, all those songs, none of those existed. Those are all new songs.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay, yeah.
Alien was an idea that I had, which Alien is available right now on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
But it's not available on like iTunes or anything yet.
So you guys do have an official YouTube page then, huh?
Yes, we do.
And I know you have a Facebook page. Do you have an official like page for the band, or is that it for now?
I think we do. I'm not positive because I don't.
But they can check you out on Facebook, and you guys got an official Hot Summers
and
page.
go to YouTube, and if you type in the Hot Summers, we have our own page there, and you know, if people subscribe, that helps us out because it gives us a chance to show it to more people.
Yeah, so you said like you guys are kind of, you're projecting maybe towards the end of the year, which is something to look forward to, but where are you with the album? Like, are you kind of like, is everything recorded? You still recording stuff? You tweaking? What's been?
We're tweaking right now.
Okay.
There's probably 10 songs that are ready to go.
Wow.
That we're putting on the back burner because we have better songs that we've written since.
Yeah.
So even though we could easily put out a record today.
Yeah, but
we're choosing not to. We're choosing to put our best, foot forward.
It makes sense.
The best material right at first. So it seems like, the songs that we wrote in 2014, 15, some of those, they don't make us feel, we don't have the confidence that we did back then in them.
Yeah.
So since then, we've written more songs, and these songs have kind of worked their way to the front. So that's kind of where we are.
This is the first thing people are going to hear from this band. So, like you said, you want to make a statement with that. And, we've been talking a lot about the Bullet Boys because of Mick Sweda, but I will tell you, like, going back to when that album came out, nobody knew who any of these guys were except for some of them were briefly in King Cobra, but they were mostly all, unknown guys. So if you can make a statement like that, I think you guys are going to be able to deliver the goods with this,
Well, I really do believe that these 10 or 11 songs, whatever it ends up being on the record, will, as far as I'm concerned, will be the best songs that we have available.
Yeah.
I think they did the same thing with that first Bullet Boys. I think that there wasn't a bad song in the bunch.
Yeah.
And I think that most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's where we are with our record, too.
And you've been through all this stuff that kind of brought you to where you are today, Shane, but I got to really give you credit and props for sticking to your guns, because a guy that's as talented as you, not just as a singer but as a songwriter, because I can hear in just one single there the potential that's in this project, and I can't wait to hear everything else. And my point is, it would have been a shame if you would have just been continuing to sing other people's music when you got that kind of talent as a writer and a singer to kind of put your own stamp on it.
No, it helps. I mean, I still do I'm in a band called Wheel in the Sky.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quick.
Journey trivia.
Yeah.
And I play with some pretty hard hitters in there. And like I have Gary Holland, which was the original drummer of Great White.
Oh, wow.
And I have Eric Ragno, which has played with he's played with the Babies and Joe Lynn Turner.
Oh, wow.
And he's got a laundry list.
You got some heavy hitters there.
We have Frankie Lindia, that is currently with Rat.
Wow.
And he was with David Lee Roth before
I heard
Kiss
that.
tour.
Wow.
So I'm playing with these people that are like amazing, but playing that keeps my vocal chops in tune, and it's fun to do, and these guys are great. So
and I got to tell you, Wheel in the Sky, that's an interesting song you chose to name the band after, because that's one of my favorite Journey tunes, and a lot of people may not realize the guy that wrote that is Robert Fleischman, who some people may know from the first Vinnie Vincent album.
Vinnie Vincent.
Yeah.
He also interesting story about Robert Fleischman.
Yeah.
When I moved to LA in '91, I was at a party down in Hollywood somewhere, and the bathroom was being used for nose games. Okay. And I had to use the restroom.
Yeah.
So I went out the back of this place and went outside and peed on the side of this house.
Okay.
I was pretty messed up myself.
Yeah.
I would just say that. So unknowingly, I walked into the wrong house.
Wow.
I walked into Robert Fleischman's house.
Wow, talk about a small world as far as
and I didn't know it was Robert Fleischman.
Yeah.
I walked in. All I know is the guy was freaking out, and I'm pretty sure he had a weapon, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But I was crapping my pants, and I left. I went back to the house that was having the party. I said, "Oh my gosh, I walked into the wrong house." It's like, "Oh man, that's Robert Fleischman. That guy's an asshole." I was like, I don't know, but I mean, I guess I'd be a little pissed if somebody just walked into my house too. But
not knowing.
But it's just funny because now in a band called Wheel in the Sky, and he's the writer of Wheel in the Sky. And
interesting, yeah.
You know,
and I don't imagine I don't imagine you had any more interaction with him, huh?
I don't want any more interactions with anybody like that.
Yeah.
You know, because he could have, you know, I don't know if he had a gun, but if he had a gun, he would have been in total, you know,
what a great
right to kill me, and because I just walked into this guy's house. So I'm glad that he didn't. Thank you very much, Robert Fleischman. And but that's my journey story. And
what a great kind of interesting story. But yeah, we'll end on that note. But I say this, Shane. So I'm gonna have an interview up sometime next week. I'll let you know if a minute goes up. Let's keep in touch, and maybe the more you guys start to release more, is that the plan? Kind of until the album comes out, is like kind of release a couple songs before then.
We were going to, and we decided we're not going to do that.
Okay. Point. I like that.
We've given a taste. We've given 2 songs so far.
There you go.
And you know, that's where I think we're going to be. I mean, we could continually chip away at this and give out little pieces. But then they're not going to go out and buy your CD. We agreed not to. I mean,
makes sense.
Mick and I, we want to put out this record. We want it to be a full product.
Yeah, there you go. And like I said, I think that's really special, because a lot of bands, they kind of just, we'll just put out like 2 or 3 new songs. And as great as those 2 or 3 new songs may be, I'm always left wanting more. Like, hey, I want a full length. And I guess before we wrap it up, the obvious question I forgot to ask is, so how did you guys come to name the band Hot Summers?
That's all on Mick.
Okay.
He's always wanted to have this name, the Hot Summers, and I think it goes back to
good time music.
That type of music. You know, the 70s and
just that vibe.
Beach Boys feel, the beachy kind of summery kind of. You know, just the top down in your car, cruising down. You know.
Yeah. Well.
The beach and stuff. And I think that's where it all comes from, and that's.
So I'll tell you what. And so, do you have anything else going on, Shane, or is this your main project right now?
No, right now this is it. I mean, I poured my heart and soul into the Hot Summers, and I can't wait for the world to hear it.
Neither can I. So I was just going to say, let's keep in touch, and you know, when you get ready to drop the CD, maybe we could do another interview. I'm going to reach out to Mick too, see if he'd like to do an interview with me, kind of like this that we did today. But thanks for doing this, Shane, and I will be in touch.
Oh, thank you very much, Jason. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, bud.